Hello, in this video I wanted to talk about the wounded narcissistic child, or the wounded emotionally abusive child, and how they become this way. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Goddard from Revive Your Soul, and on this channel I talk about healing from emotional abuse and breaking free from the chains that hold you, the trauma bonds, not able to move on, ruminating over the relationship and keeping you trapped. If you're new to this channel, please like and subscribe, and if you hit the little notification bell, you'll be notified each time I upload a video. And to all my new subscribers, thank you so much. And if you're returning, thank you and welcome back. The wounded child goes one of two ways. They perhaps become codependent, or they become an emotional abuser. We all experience some form of trauma. As a child, or as children, we are sponges. And between birth and the ages of about 7 or 8 years old, we are moulded. Everything we hear and we see, we take on as the truth. And the adults in our lives are supposed to be our protectors. But what if they don't play that role and they actually play the role of abuser? Children are moulded by the words they hear and the actions of the people around them. And the people around them are their tribe. They take on their likes and their beliefs. A tribe is supposed to be a safe, sacred space. But if the child experiences trauma, it might be physical or emotional, it causes them a wounding. And although the emotional wound isn't visible, it's as powerful, if not more so. My grandmother minimized this type of emotional wounding, and I sort of remember my mum doing something similar. It was like, it was only a joke, or you're too sensitive. It wasn't meant like that. But if someone hurts you intentionally or unintentionally, this needs to be acknowledged. The emotions shouldn't be minimized. And if we learn this as a child, we learn not to say anything or to rock the boat. And we learn to walk on eggshells around certain people. And these learnt behaviours are what keeps us trapped in relationships that are unhealthy. But we don't see it because we've been told to ignore our feelings. From my grandmother, I learnt the rhyme, sticks and stones. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I've written about this a few times, about this rhyme, as to me it's total BS. Words and thoughts are very powerful and can cause untold damage. A word or a statement expressed to a young child can change its life forever. And that child then ruminates over it. I'm not good at anything. I'm always causing problems. I'm bad with money. I'm such a disappointment. I'm greedy. I'm fat. Always let people down. Why can't I be like my brother? Why can't I be like my sister? Why do I always show people up? I am statements are really powerful. Positive I am statements can reprogram you. And if that is the case, then so can negative ones. So think about that I am, and then fill in the words and the statements you heard. What is your default I am that you go to? The negative, berating voice that you hear in your head. We experience so many different emotions in our lifetime, but they all stem from just three: abandonment, guilt, and shame. And just like a physical trauma, this emotional trauma is held. And if these wounds are not healed, they later cause physical problems. Child then repeats the trauma, projecting onto others the abandonment, shame, and guilt they feel. Children are a product of their environment. They are moulded by their tribe. They are told what the tribe feels, their political beliefs, their aspirations. If the tribe produces doctors or nurses or bank managers, probably bank managers aren't as common now, then the expectation is that that child would follow in a long line, keeping up that tradition. But if that child doesn't fit in that box, then it harms or damages them. I've met so many people who have put off their dreams to please a parent, or followed a career that their parent thought was suitable and respectable. I've heard of people becoming doctors to make their mothers proud, or saying my husband became a bank manager to please his parents. What does a child believe about themselves? to get acceptance that they have to behave or that they have to please a parent. The emotional abuser received an emotional wound, and they learnt the way to protect themselves was to project outward and never be hurt again. They possibly experienced some form of abandonment and experienced some form of shame and guilt. Every situation that they face from that point, they project outwards. We are born believing that we are the centre of our universe, and our behaviour proves this. We yell and scream to get our needs met, and this is crucial for survival. We alert our caregivers to our basic needs of food and water, the need to feel more comfortable, or that we need sleep, or we need love and attention. And we go through various developmental stages that prepare us for life and the world that we're about to live in. But young children who suffer neglect or overindulgence will leave this developmental stage without having completed it. And as they mature, they still maintain a toddler's perception. And I've often described them as a damaged child. And if you watch their behaviour, you will see at what age this damage occurred. They are children in adults' bodies. But the young child having a tantrum isn't as scary as the adult behaving in this way. They still live in a world where they believe it revolves around them, constantly needing validation and attention. And they spend their lives creating relationships and friendships where they will not be abandoned, because they were either abandoned at this stage or there was a traumatic experience and they felt guilt and shame and they abandoned themselves. And if you were the child of an emotionally abusive parent, then you are the ideal partner for an emotional abuser, as you've already been programmed by your own parent, and you may find yourself in a relationship with an emotional abuser where everyone else can see what's going on and sees their behaviour as unacceptable. As children, we need approval, attention, and unconditional love. Children are the product of their environment, adapting to their families and to their homes. If a child is raised in an environment that was competitive, the attention the child received was based on their achievement, and they would only be as good as their last trophy or title. This is conditional love. For attention, the child understands on the condition they are top of the class, win the race, have the lead role in a play or nativity. If they don't achieve this, they know they will have disappointed their parent or caregiver. And rather than feeling special, they know they are only as good as their last win. The pressure is never off them. A child might have had a very domineering and devaluing parent who was always putting them down. They displayed emotions of anger and their children irritated them, which they displayed openly towards them. The golden child and the scapegoats. In some families, the children competed against each other not to be the scapegoat, and in other families, the scapegoat was chosen by a parent. The family unit wasn't a safe place, and everybody crept round the emotionally abusive parent, trying to make sure their needs were met. And nobody did anything to set their explosive personality off. Children learnt to walk on eggshells and anticipate their needs. And children that grow up in these households feel angry, humiliated, and inadequate. And they are likely to react to their childhood situation in different ways. For some children, they became defeated, and after decades of being told that they're worthless, despite doing everything that they could to prove this wasn't the case, they might try to escape these emotions by adopting addictive behaviours. They have no purpose in life, or they have lost sight of that. And they never achieve their potential because they have been convinced they don't have one. For others, they reject their parents' message that they are losers. And they spend their life trying to prove to themselves, to the world, and the devaluing parent that they are special and that their parents were wrong all the time. While in their head they hear the harsh inner critic. And there are the children angry at anyone who reminds them of their parent, believing it's not enough for them to achieve, they must destroy as well. Parents of the golden child use their child to gain attention. The talented child does deserve praise themselves, but the parents use the child as an extension in order for them to receive the praise. Look at me, look what I've created. And this behaviour can lead to the child becoming an emotional abuser later in life. The child receives the message that love and attention is conditional. It tells the child that their parents only value them because they are special. Some children learn to admire and stay subservient to the parent. They are taught narcissistic values but are discouraged from exhibiting them for admiration. Instead, their role within the family is to worship the greatness of their emotionally abusive parent without ever trying to equal or surpass the parent's achievements. Children are sponges and they learn from the people around them. If the people around them display manipulative behaviour, they learn this is how to behave. Once you know what to look for, it is easy to see how certain childhood environments support adaptations by the children. Healing the original wound. I've been working in this area for over a decade, and I've also worked with past life trauma that repeats in this lifetime for about 2 decades. And over the last 5 years, working with trauma through the DNA, and there's continuing research around like the Holocaust and the 9/11 bombings, which is proving how trauma can be carried through generations. And one of the techniques that I use to heal the original wound, I learned a couple of decades ago. And just like you're able to see the age the emotional abuser was damaged, you also find out the age your trauma happened to you. When you're triggered, which is feeling an emotional reaction to something that someone has done or said to you, so you can ask yourself, how old is this? Or maybe, how old am I? Or where is this coming from? And you might get a flashback of a memory, or you might hear words or a statement, and see if you can recognize the voice. This might not be the original wound, but it will lead you to it. Don't let this wound or the original wound dictate your life and your relationships any further. Let go and heal them and free yourself, and learn how to manage your relationships on your terms. When a person finally has no way of causing you pain, they lose control and you gain it. Take the leading role in your own life. If you'd like to find out more about working with me on a one-to-one basis, you can visit my website reviveyoursoul.co.uk, or you can drop me an email, info@reviveyoursoul.co.uk. I'll put the links to various different resources in the description box below, and I'll also put the links to both my books, Finding Lily and the A to Z of Emotional Abuse. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the little notification bell to be notified when I next upload a new video, and I'm sending you loads and loads and loads of love.